Hi students, in this part of A Long Walk to Freedom, Mandela talks about man's twin obligations, then he talks about freedom, and in the end he talks about his own transformation. So first thing he says is every man has twin obligations. Now what are obligations? Obligations are duties or your responsibilities towards something. So man has twin obligations. One obligation is towards his family, his wife, his parents, his children. And the other obligation is towards his community, his country. You as students have obligations, don't you? You have to be responsible citizens of society. You need to respect your parents and your teachers and be proud of your institution. Towards Mother Earth, we have a bigger responsibility to take care of the environment. These are all our obligations. But according to Mandela, a man in a civil and humane society could fulfill his twin obligations according to his abilities, as long as he abided by the laws. But in South Africa, a man of his color or his race who tried to fulfill his obligations was punished and isolated. Mandela had to neglect his family when he was 30 years in prison. He could not perform his duties as a husband, as a father, as a good son. He kept his country and his people before his own family. And so he had to spend a life of isolation in prison. He had to live a twilight existence. He was ripped apart from his family and isolated, all because of the apartheid system. When Mandela talks of freedom, he says, "I was not born with a hunger to be free, I was born free." In his childhood days, freedom to him was to run in the fields, to swim in the clear waters of the stream near his mother's hut, to roast mealies under the starry nights, starry skies, or to ride the broad backs of slow-moving bulls. This was freedom to him. Children have very simple ideas of freedom, but as he grew up, he realized that this was just an illusion. It was not real. As a young boy or as a young student, freedom to him was just to read what he pleased, go where he wanted to, as long as he abided by the laws. But when he was a young man in Johannesburg, he realized that all this was an illusion. He was not actually free. As a young man in Johannesburg, he realized that freedom was just an illusion, that actually his freedom had already been taken away and he was not free. Not he, but anyone who looked like him, or in other words, who were black, were not free. He did not have the freedom to earn his livelihood. Black were not allowed education. Even in public places, everything was restricted. They were segregated. There were separate queues for the blacks and the whites. There were separate places for seating. Mandela says, "Later as a young man in Johannesburg, I yearned for the basic and honorable freedoms of achieving my potential, of earning my keep, of marrying and having a family, the freedom not to be obstructed in a lawful life." But he realized that not was I not free, but my brothers and sisters were not free. It was not only just my freedom that was curtailed, but the freedom of everyone who looked like I did. That is when he realized that it was not he, but anyone who was black. Their freedom was curtailed. And that is when his hunger for freedom became so strong that he joined the African National Congress, or the ANC. And then the transformation came. Mandela wanted his people to live a life of self-respect and dignity. And thus this hunger became so powerful that it transformed, he says, a frightened young man into a bold one. It changed him. He was frightened, but he became bold. A law-abiding attorney to become a criminal, one who abides by law. He became a criminal and he was put in prison. A family-loving husband into a man without a home. He loved his family, but yet he had to leave his home. And it forced a life-loving man to live like a monk. A man who loves life. He had to live like a monk, a sage who renounces everything and stays in, and he had to stay in prison for 30 years, isolated, away from his family, from his loved ones. So he says, freedom is indivisible. You cannot divide freedom. So he felt the chains on any one of my people were the chains on all of them. And the chains of all my people were the chains on me. And lastly, he says, a man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. So he says, someone, a man who takes away another man's freedom is himself a prisoner. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. And he says, the oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. Both the oppressor as well as the oppressed are robbed of their humanity. So that is the last line in this A Long Walk to Freedom, lesson number 2 from the book First Flight. And some tips I would like to give you children. When you are studying this lesson, there are 10 different parts that you can study and you can make points. The first part in the lesson is the installation or the inauguration Mandela speaks about. The second part is Mandela's pledge and what he pledges. The third part is the ceremony. He describes the entire ceremony of the installation, the part where he talks about the military generals, the national anthems, and his overwhelming by history. The next part is the structure of apartheid. What is apartheid? Then Mandela's comrades. He talks about his comrades. He talks about next the effects of the apartheid system. What were the unplanned or unintended effects of apartheid? The deep and profound wound that was created by apartheid. Then he talks about man's twin obligations and how in a society of apartheid, in a system of apartheid, he or anyone who looked like him were unable to fulfill their obligations. Then Mandela's hunger for freedom and his freedom as a child, as a young student, and as a young man. The African National Congress, and last, Mandela's transformation. So if you divide your chapter or your lesson into these points and make your own small keynotes, it will really be very easy. You can also make a note of Mandela's quotes. They are very, very important. You can read up on more quotes and use them whenever you write an article or an essay. Well, I was planning to go according to the order of poetries and lessons in the book, but then I received a request that I should teach the poetry The Tale of Custard the Dragon by Ogden Nash. So in my next tutorial, I will deal with The Tale of Custard the Dragon by Ogden Nash. Till then, bye.